What up? All right, let's make sure YouTube is rolling over here. Let's make sure this is rolling over here. And oh wow, Jackson, you're looking better and better each day. There we go. All
Thanks,
right,
brother.
Jack.
I
Yeah.
appreciate that.
All right. Take it away.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 312 of Boog Life, pitted with Action and Manny V. I'm Steve Action Jackson, joined by my colleague, my favorite person to travel with, and my favorite person to do commentary with, talking all that is Boog, Manny Vargas.
Awesome, Jackson. Yeah, thank you so much for making it happen. I know you're on the East Coast and the time difference is later in the evening for you. So thank you for staying up and making this happen.
Staying up, it's only 8 o'clock over here on the East Coast.
Sorry, I'm 50 something years old and my bedtime's around that time, West Coast time. So apologies.
Come on, 9 o'clock's my bedtime.
All right. Well, you're here now. I'm here now. So let's do this.
All right, brother. First and foremost, let's get right into shout outs. Last week, total oversight on my part. Forgot to wish our boy Big Todd, whose image is right behind you, a happy birthday. So, Big Todd, happy belated birthday. Love you, brother. My apologies for spacing on the shout out last time around.
You and I both, we let that one slip, but yeah, Big Todd, he's been pretty excited and pushing really hard to get this September 2nd Palm Springs bodyboarding trip underway. And when the push comes to shove, things happen. And yes, it is going down. So September 5th or September 2nd, 5 o'clock. We have a pretty solid crew. I think we got all 12 spots loaded and ready to rock to head over to Palm Springs one more time for a Boog Life afternoon in Palm Springs.
Nice. Also, I have one other birthday shout out to throw out everybody. Yesterday was the birthday of Don Tarrant, the owner of Eastern Line Surf Shop in Belmar, New Jersey. They've been in business since 1981. They run the Belmar Pro Surfing Contest every year while I was back home in New Jersey for a couple of years. Bookending the quarantine year. 2019, 2021, they let me tack on bodyboarding divisions for those events. And, I owe a lot to Don. Back in the late 90s, the surf shop sponsor I was riding for at the time, we had a bit of a falling out. And I was riding for BZ Pro Boards at the time. And the sales rep who hooked me up with the sponsorship in the first place, Bruce Krisner, I went to him, I told him what was going on. He immediately made a phone call, brought me over to Eastern Line Surf Shop in Belmar, introduced me to Don. I knew some of the guys that rode for the shop. I knew some of the people that worked there, but I had never actually spoken to the owner in person. And you know what? Don took me on board without a second guess. Yeah, made me a team rider. And over the years, he's been somebody, he's been very influential in my bodyboarding and wave riding. And, he's always looked out for me. Support the shop whenever I can. I mean, heck, while I was back in New Jersey for a couple of years after Brazil and before moving to San Diego, um, we used to joke around that I was the middle-aged shop grom because, if there were no waves, I'd be hanging out inside the shop. If or I'd be hanging out outside the shop with one of the local retired cops, and we became known as we were kind of like those two Muppets that hang out in the balcony and heckle everybody. Yeah,
Yeah.
we were the Statler and Waldorf of Eastern Line Surf Shop because we'd sit outside in the beach chairs, drinking coffee and heckling the tourists. And
So good.
Don never kicked us out. I love our conversations. I've always loved being able to sit down, share a beer, have a couple of beers and talk shop, so to speak. And I can't say happy birthday enough to Don Tarrant.
Awesome. Happy birthday. Shout outs on my end goes out to Stephanie Peterson. She has been battling cancer, and she pulled out of it. I, I thought she was in the clear, but she just put up a different post, a recent post where she's in a hyperbaric chamber as part of her treatment. So I don't know if it relapsed. I don't know what is happening. I should reach out to her, but I did, drop a message. But will reach out to her and just ask her how she's doing. And back in the day, she was one of the fiercest competitors on the tour.
Four-time women's bodyboarding world champion, the first official women's professional bodyboarding world
Yep.
champion was declared in 1990 at Pipeline. It was Steph who took that honor.
Yeah, let me see if I can just pull up her Instagram right quick. I'll do it on this screen over here. But yeah, I mean, to see one of your friends in this situation, because we're the old school, and we're coming to the age where, I hate to say it, but people are moving or passing away, or they are just not in good health. And from what I've seen of Stephanie, she was doing everything she could to you know s- to be healthy, to make sure she was doing everything to you know live a healthy lifestyle. And unfortunately, some things are not, you can't control that. So let me share this her Instagram here, and you can see.
Yeah, Steph, easily one of the most physically fit, healthy
Yeah,
people, we've ever known. And it just it came as a total shock when she, let everybody know that she was suffering from cancer. And she has been putting up one hell of a fight.
yeah.
It's been truly inspiring, you know, everything she's gone through. And, she continues the battle and she continues to be a source of inspiration.
100%. So, if you are a bodyboarder, just here, follow her Instagram, which is Surf Flow Steph, and just drop her a message, and I'll do the same once we're done here, and just send her all the good vibes that we got going on here on Book Life. And yeah, like I said, she was doing everything to keep that healthy lifestyle going. And I got a good feeling she's gonna battle through this as she has been. So send her a message. I'll do the same.
All righty.
All right, there you go.
All right, so now into bodyboarding news. Again, putting aside my personal feelings regarding the IBC World Tour, the tour is currently in Iquique, which is one of the most phenomenal places on the planet that I've ever had the good fortune of visiting and working events at. For those who aren't familiar with Iquique in northern Chile, um, it's a natural phenomenon. You've got the Pacific Ocean, the Atacama Desert, and some incredible wine valleys. If you've never had a chance to try Chilean Carmenere, whether you're a wine person or not, definitely worth buying a bottle and sharing it with your friends. But you have everything all compacted into an area that you can drive through three different regions in like 20 minutes. And then on top of that, the icing on top of all that is the urban stretch along the coastline is lined with reef break after reef break. You cannot throw a stone up or down the beach without it hitting water at another wave break. It's mind-boggling to see the setup down there. And the men's and women's are both underway there. And I want to give a shout out to the competitors because it's a great place to be. Enjoy your time there. Wishing you all the best of luck in the competition. And you know, I I'm actually going to suggest that for the video of the week when we get to it, that we check out day two of the women's action.
Sounds good. Yeah. Out of Iquique, Arica, and Antofagasta, the locations where they do have tour stops, or they did have tour stops. Iquique is one of those ones that has it all. You can you can go from reef break to reef break and have all this urban life. You got these beautiful restaurants right on the water. You got the city life right on the water's edge. It's actually pretty cool. And if you're in Southern California, you know how you drive along the reefs in La Jolla. It's similar to that, but more of that and more like urban life, more city life right up against the water, which is really cool. And the wave that they're having the event at, it's no joke. It is
Punta dos.
super shallow. Punto dos. The right, super shallow. The left, super shallow. Just this water, this energy heaving on the shallow reef. And there's always somebody getting out of the water with blood dripping from somewhere.
The first year that we were there together working commentary for the ISA World Bodyboard Championships in 2014, I paddled out at Punta Dos for a free surf. Yeah, I sliced a nice gash
Yep.
in my wetsuit. I was thankful that I didn't shed any blood, but I got lit up like the 4th of July over there.
Yeah, that wave is pretty phenomenal. But yeah, I'll start looking for that video. And bodyboarding news, you good?
That's what I've got right now. A little
I,
prelude of the video of the week.
okay, I just got a couple things. Tomorrow we are going live with another shaper. And the shaper interviews, I love going live, and we are going to make that public. I still am trying to lock in a couple more interviews for our regular interviews. But for this, our shapers, we're going to head over to the East Coast and chime in with Andrew Bitleris, who is down in North Carolina, and he's going to open his shaping shack and his own little vintage bodyboard vault that he showed me recently. So we're going to look at some of his boards and also take a look at what he's got going on as far as shaping bodyboards. So tomorrow live 5 o'clock, and the link should be on Patreon or on YouTube too. So check those out. It's going to be pretty fun. I've been chatting with him along the way. And yeah, Pat and Ben Severson, Jimmy Hutaff will be with us in Cabo this year. I'm super pumped to be back in Cabo with some original, bodyboarders that were there in the very beginning of exploring Cabo back in the late 80s. Jacob
God,
Romero, I
What I wouldn't
know, I
be give to
know.
be on that trip. Those guys have got to have the most epic of stories.
Oh, I can't wait to get them back there. Jacob Romero in November, Puerto Rico. So, Jackson, you know all about that. So, those trips, I do have one spot in Cabo remaining, and I do have two for Puerto Rico. If you're interested, let me know. You know how to get a hold of me. And for bodyboarding news, that's all I got.
All right, so that brings us to the aforementioned boogLIFE video of the week. If you'll go to the IBC World Bodyboarding Tour YouTube page and pull up day two women's competition.
All right, let's see where you are. Day two. Okay.
Yeah,
There's
we always show love to the guys. I wanted to show a little love to the ladies because you know what? From what we've seen over the years, you know, there's some serious competition that goes down at these South American events. And Kike, no shortage of talent this year. So I wanted to highlight the ladies this week.
All right, let's do it. Let's get this audio sharing. There we go. And are we good?
I've got the picture on screen. Let it roll.
Audio?
Got audio.
I haven't seen this yet, so I'm pretty excited.
So today we're going to be running the non-elimination
Eric.
round of the top 8 in the women's division.
Oh, I'm so happy to
Tune
see
in
him
for another
there.
amazing day of bodyboarding here in beautiful
He
England.
is.
Thank you.
Awesome. Good man.
Hoy vamos a tener un buen día de competencia con las
Shallow. Paloma. Oh my God. That was deep. Maida, your current world champ. Joanna Shanker. Good to see her in the water again. Nice. That's good at it.
Yeah, stoked to see Alexandra Rinder back at it. Two-time women's world champ, as well as Joanna Schenker, the first ever bodyboarding world champion from Portugal. And mixing it up. Yeah, you mentioned Myra Viana in that video clip, the current defending women's world champ, Nicole Caleros. Yeah, looking for her first world title. And yeah, these women really throwing it down, putting it on the line. As Manny mentioned, and I gave a colorful little analogy for the reef there, super shallow. It's like a cheese grater out there.
Yep.
If correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't that the reef that little Todd got banged up on in the No Friends video way back in the day when they were just kind of exploring northern Chile before it was really quote unquote on the map?
Yeah, they I think they were there with Paul Roach, Ross McBride, and gosh, there was a couple other I think maybe Nels Velocito was on that trip. I'm not 100% sure, but they were exploring that region and that was the break and they scored.
Yeah. So, kudos to the ladies for battling it out. And, I've always had massive respect for the women's bodyboarders competing at these World Tour events, especially when it's heavy reef break action. So, have at it, ladies. Good luck to all of you. And we'll be paying close attention to see who comes out the winner at this event.
I have yet to reach out to the Shark Island crew. Are they still on standby or did we miss the?
They're still on standby till the end of this month. So there's still a couple of weeks for Mother Nature to whip up something good and just keeping fingers crossed at this point.
Okay, I'm making a note to reach out to Steph and the guys over at the Shark Island Challenge just to get an update. And yeah, if they go live and we're able to do our own little commentating from this end, we'll try to make that happen.
All right. So that brings us to our weekly motivation. And I had no idea at the time when I picked this out, but it seems apropos given what we've been discussing and, watching for this week's episode. But this week's quote comes from Maya Angelou, and it goes as such. You may encounter many defeats, but you must not be defeated. So, whether we're talking about competition or life in general, I think it applies accordingly to everything we discussed tonight.
Yep, amen to that. Thank you, Jackson, and thank you everybody who tuned in to watch live and those that will see the recorded version. Jackson, thank you, brother.
Thank you, Manny, as always. And to everybody who tuned in, keeps us going. We're always stoked to get together, talk a little Boog action here on Pitted with Action and Manny V. And until episode 313, we're out. You.